All right. So, unfortunately, the camera unplugged while I was taping it down, so you didn't get to see that. But by now, hopefully, we've got the taping good. You want to just make sure that you're keeping it flat against the T-square and line it all up. And now we'll lay out our title block. So, 1/4 inch on each side. 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch up from that, 1/4 inch. And then I'll lay out, let me just kind of adjust my board a little bit to give my T-square a little more wiggle room. And then again, my triangle on top of my T-square, always kind of just pinching them together a little bit or just pushing it down onto the T-square while I push the T-square against the board, because I want to make sure that it's making perpendicular and parallel lines. Otherwise, kind of what's the point? That page is not straight on the screen. And I see I didn't bring that down far enough. I'll go fix that in just a moment. 4, 3, 2, 1.5. Let's just bring that down a little bit more. Hopefully what you're finding is that you're able to work a little bit faster because you're getting a little bit more comfortable with the tools as you use them, because that's how it goes. That's how practice works. So now we'll start making that block up in the corner. This actually is the only one. I don't know what happened to it, but I lost this one's physical block, so I don't have the physical block, unfortunately. But that's okay. We can still lay it out just from the measurements that we have. So I'm going to just pick a place off of the bottom left corner and start my front view. So I'll just lay out some guide work from that. And I have an overall length of 6. So I'll just measure over 6. And I have an overall height of 2. So I'll measure up 2 and line across, line up. Now, when I'm looking at the front of this object, there is that little gap that kind of sits in that, we can see it in the top view, very similar to the grooves block that we just worked on and the dado block we worked on. However, it just doesn't go all the way through. And what you might be picking up on is that in the front view, if I'm just looking at the front of the object, I can't see that little groove or that mortise joint in this case. But it is there, I just can't see it in this view. And when we have objects or edges that are there but we can't see in a particular view, we show them with a hidden line. So I'm just going to measure on the front view that it goes in 2 inches and just draw my line down. And I'm just going to lay it out as a hidden line in the front view just because I know that that's what it's supposed to end up as. So again, when I'm doing a hidden line, I know it's really hard to see because of the glare that shows up on the piece of metal, but I line up one of the circles with the very edge of my object, and then I move it so that there is that flat covered piece on the very edge. That way I can kind of ensure that after I erase all this, that I am going to have a line touching on the edge of my object. I didn't erase all the way down because I also wanted to make sure that there was a little line here on the edge of the object. So then I kind of just manually went and edited my own little hidden piece there to break that one up. So now I've got my front view. I'll start with my top. So I'm just going to pick somewhere to start for my top view. Draw a guideline just kind of in between where those edges are. and I'll just line it up, project it up, line it up, project it up, line it, project it. Now I have an overall depth of this object of 3 inches, and then that little gap piece, or that little joint, is 1 inch down from the top. So I just kind of made a little measurement that it's 1 inch down and it's 1 inch wide. And so I'm just lining up my T-square, drawing my line in, lining up my T-square, drawing my line. And then just kind of getting rid of some of this guide work. Again, I'm going to get rid of this line here, similar to when I was talking about the dado joint and versus like the end lap member or the notched one. That gap does go all the way through from top to bottom. So I don't want to leave an edge there, because otherwise that's insinuating, like with this one, that there is something down there, that there's a face down there, and there isn't. So that's why I want to just leave it as an open space. And then I'll do my miter line. So from where the topmost and rightmost lines meet, I'm going to just project 45 degrees out, and then just kind of note where these all would cross. So again, rather than bring the line all the way over, which I could do, that's not incorrect, I just kind of bring it over and just note where it hits that miter line to give me just a little bit less to erase. But everywhere there's a horizontal line in this top view, I bring that line over. And I'm just kind of guesstimating like where these would meet down here to just draw some guidelines for my side view. So this way I don't have to measure height for my side view. And then line it up, line down, line it up, project down. So I'm just transferring those measurements over. And as I've said probably 17 trillion times, this technique just gives me a lot less to have to erase. Especially since I do my guidelines pretty dark, so they show up on camera well. It's can be a little hard to erase them. And so that then would be what my side view looks like. I can see that there's this face, that little gap face in the middle, this face here, but I just can't see how far back that goes because I can't see anything related to length when I'm looking at the side view. For my final steps, my title block. So this is called the open mortise member. Like a mortise joint. Or maybe it's open mortise block. I can't remember. Uh-oh. And then your name. The date you drew this on. The scale, which we did this full size, 1 inch on paper is 1 inch in reality. And how many drawings are associated with this particular block. So this is drawing 1 of 1. This is really helpful for if we have something that has lots of different drawings to it, to let us know like, hey, there's other sheets, especially if maybe a sheet gets lost and out of like a packet of them, you can know that there's several of them. And that's the open mortise member.